Welcome back to American Warrior Radio on WMEL AM 1300, the Talk to Me radio show. And we're here today with the mentor coordinator for the Veterans Treatment Court, Don Wassmer. And we've been in a very nice conversation with him, and those listening in have already heard some good information about the Veterans Treatment Court, who it's for, how it's organized, who qualifies, who doesn't qualify, and we're going to go a little more depth into that. And with that, Garen, I think you wanted to throw an example out so people can best understand what's going on here.
That's how I learn. I learn by example. I try and set a good example and follow good examples. So, Don, can you reset the table for us? Let's say, for instance, in this case, because we do have a lot of OIF, OEF vets coming back, and they can't all come home soon enough. But even those in other eminent danger areas, or even the DMZ, no matter who it is, if they're a veteran with honorable paper, and let's say that they saw some things while on active duty, which you talked about before the break during the last segment, and they're bothered by it, you know, whether it's post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, whatever it might be. It's a mental health issue, let's say, and they're doing what you said, self-medicating. And I'm this 26-year-old former sergeant. I get into a fight with my girlfriend. I've been drinking, and I slapped her around a little, and lo and behold, here come the cops, and they arrest me. What happens now?
Okay, you go to jail.
How?
Yeah.
That's putting it bluntly.
That's you know, in any domestic violence, whoever throws the first punch goes to jail. So yeah. At that point, if they do identify you as a veteran, you can request the Veterans Court. They should be able to explain to you that it's an option that you have. Let me say,
now, who's going to be doing that explaining? At the jail?
At the jail, right.
Okay, so first they have to identify that the person they've arrested is a veteran.
Right. And let me say one thing, that just being a veteran is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. You know, it just gives you access to this court. You still have to go through the system. You'll still have to go through the VA or whatever mandated treatments that the court requires. And we do work extremely closely with the VA, coordinating any health care that you do need, whether it be mental health or detox, counseling. All of that comes through the VA, and some local services also that they work with as well.
So this young guy gets arrested, he's in the jail, they identify him as a veteran, and before he goes to an arraignment, he should or hopefully will be advised that that's an option for him?
Yes, and hopefully they will, but if not, hopefully the audience out there will be aware of this and spread this by word of mouth, because you have to request it.
And I think you made a good point. It is, let's call it what it is some special consideration for our veteran population.
Well, it is definitely that, but it's not a free pass, as Don said. And and also it's for lower level offenses at this point in time. But it is to give a veteran a break, so to speak, if they'll follow through with a treatment plan and finish that successfully. Then what happens to their record, Don?
The charges disappear. They're gone, and that's as good as it can get. It didn't happen. This is a program of rehabilitation. It's to restore them, to make them whole again. That's the process.
That is the whole point. Boil it all down. That's what you're left with. Is yes, it's special consideration given to the less than 1% of us that have ever served,
and then less than that of the 1%. So
exactly. So it's not a free pass. They have to be in compliance with whatever the court orders, and we'll talk about the mentorship here program in a moment. But they have to be willing to change. They have to have a problem, and it really does have to somehow relate to their military service, right?
Exactly. They have to identify the problem and accept it, that they have it. It's like any other thing that you're going to recover from. First, you have to come to a point of acceptance, and then you work on the rehabilitation.
And about how long, on average, is the treatment programs usually run right now?
Well, depending on the person and how serious they are, it could last years. It could be something that you're going to be doing for a long time.
Okay.
Could be through medication. Could be primarily through group counseling, individual counseling. It depends on the person and what the experiences they had.
So getting back to that hypothetical that I threw out there, and all you listeners, honestly, this is important stuff, because who better deserves a little break or a hand up than our vets that have served honorably and gotten themselves a little mixed up in some trouble. You know, when you have the police knocking on the door, it's never really a good thing. So this young fella, this soldier, is accepted into Veterans Treatment Court. What happens then?
Well, then
Does he have an advocate?
They have if they have an attorney, they can have an attorney. If not, they can be assigned a public defender if they can't afford an attorney. And then we get to the point where we, in the first appearance in court, we assign them a mentor. That's my role as the mentor coordinator. And the mentor is like a battle buddy, or equivalent to an
Good
AA
metaphor.
program sponsor in an AA program. We're all veterans. None
Wait
of
a
us,
minute. So if I'm a non-veteran, I can't be a mentor in Veterans Treatment Court?
No, you need to be a veteran.
I like
So
that.
it's like trying to counsel alcoholics if you never had a drink.
Yeah, you need that common background to make the connection.
Right.
Okay, so you appoint, or do they have any choice in the matter as far as their mentor goes? I mean, if there's a personality conflict, I'm sure you work with that.
Yes, I try to match them up as closely as possible as far as age, branch of service, experience, and so on, gender, so on, because they have to have a good relationship.
Like you said, there's literally sponsoring, kind of like an AA type sponsor. It's an accountability, like you said, a battle buddy, someone they can have a touchstone with, and good communication back and forth, and keep them on track.
Exactly. And that's it. They stay in touch. They counsel. We help guide them through the system. If they're not familiar with the VA system, we can advise them how to, who to see, where to go. And we also are familiar with the court system, how to explain to them how to behave in court, how to what proper attire and so on, how to follow and be compliant. If they are compliant and do what they're told, they will be successful. As much as we can, we try to. We are there to be their role model, to show them that look, none of us are perfect. We've tripped up at one point in our life, and using our example, hopefully we can help them get back on track.
And folks, we're talking with Don Wassmer, who is the Veterans Treatment Court Mentor Coordinator here in Brevard County. And throughout all of Florida, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a real strong push to get Veterans Treatment Courts installed in all the courts.
Yes. They're starting in Orlando. I worked with some of the people in Seminole County over there. They were starting one up. They got it going over there, actually. Doing very well. It's pretty successful.
So what kind of background are you looking for? Obviously, number one, you have to be a veteran. And this mentor doesn't pay anything. This is giving back. Helping your brothers and sisters in arms overcome the obstacles they're facing as they try to reintegrate and end up getting mixed up with the law. So what else are you looking for? What kind of qualities does a person need to have to become a mentor, a good mentor for these folks that are going through Veterans Treatment Court?
Well, like you said, we're all volunteers. None of us get paid. So we need people that have walked in their shoes, people that honestly believe in what they're doing, and we'll take the time and have good character and be here for the right reasons, to be helping someone else, helping our community, and helping these people return to society the way they left, and to be whole again, to be more productive members of society, and actually thank them for what they've done, for where they've been.
And you mentioned the word battle buddy, which is a phrase common to military members. Makes sense to me, Glenn.
Oh, absolutely. As I threw in a minute ago, you gotta have that common background. You gotta be a veteran first, and then I'm sure there's some interview process to go through and make sure you're a right fit for the volunteer role there. And I'm just wondering, you've been online about 2 years, you said, Do you have any kind of numbers of success or rate of success?
Right now, I think the success rate, the last I heard, was about 50-50. You know, half have been successful and half that have not.
Describe a typical program then. You're a mentor of the hypothetical guy, sergeant that came before the court. What happens? He's before the judge. What will the judge order? Or what's the court order for him?
Well, pretty much to begin with, they all have drug screens and alcohol screens periodically, and they're assigned a particular color code. They may be tested monthly or weekly or every other week, depending on how they are. If they are on a monthly schedule and they fail, they come in positive, then they're going to be on every other week. If they still fail, they're going to be on weekly. That's up to the judge. They'll all go through the VA for a mental health screening and assessment, and
That's a mandatory.
yes. And then once they've, like I said, we work very closely with the VA, and we have a representative there from the VA in court at every session who has immediate access to their medical records, and knows whether or not they've been showing up with their medical appointments and with their providers at the VA.
Accountability.
And exactly. So everything is done real time. The judge knows exactly how that person is progressing.
And
Well,
go ahead, Glenn.
50-50 to some may seem like a small amount or not the best amount in the world, but heck, Major League batting average of 500 would be terrific. And I think
That's a good point.
I think it's terrific if half the people in that program can be made back to be whole and return to society on a more successful basis.
Right. And I think the hardest thing is the substance abuse part of it. I think that's the reason most people fail. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. Not everybody, gets sober on their first time through AA.
So that is a requirement, though. I mean, you're going to have to be drug and alcohol free to complete the Veterans Treatment Court.
Yes.
And if they do have a positive screening for whether it's alcohol or marijuana, what happens?
They get tested more frequently, and if they continue to be non-compliant, they can be removed from the court. And then what happens then is they go back to the regular criminal court, and they have to fight their case there, which means that they got a less likelihood of having that crime disappear from their record.
I would think much less likely. And plus, unfortunately, if that scenario plays out, then the person has done themselves a great disfavor because they're not helping themselves and they're not going to improve their life and be able to return to more productive living style.
Exactly, it's a stigma they're gonna carry every time they apply for a job or especially if they want to work for the government or any level of government. You're gonna have that out there.
That you were arrested and convicted of a crime.
Right.
Whereas if you successfully complete Veterans Treatment Court under Judge John Murphy and you and the other mentors, you have a chance to have it disappear like it was never there, expunged.
Yes.
And
the record's clean.
And so half the guys and gals, because folks, it's not just limited to men.
No, well, absolutely not.
Yeah, women also.
Yeah.
And what about the disorder? It's not a disorder. Military sexual trauma. What about that? We talked about PTSD and self-medicating and things like that. I imagine anybody that may have experienced military sexual trauma is going to have their brain scrambled to some effect and maybe not behave the way they should or ordinarily would and find themselves in front of Veterans Treatment Court. Is the VA prepared? Because you have intimate knowledge. You retired through the Veterans Health Administration. You know a lot about that. Are they adequately prepared to address those needs, whether it's a man or a woman? Because we talked about that, Glenn. It can affect both.
Right.
They have a pretty good program, from what I understand, as far as that goes, because they're aggressively attacking that situation. When we work as mentors with the veterans, we may not know everything that they've experienced. We only know what they share with us. Their reason for being in the court is really not that important to us as far as the actual crime they committed and why they were there. We're not there to judge them. We're there to guide them and help them through the process. We don't work for the court. We're not snitches for the court. Our conversations with
Can you say that again? Really hit that point home.
We're not there we're there to help them present a positive approach and a positive appearance in the court and be successful. The only time that we would actually report something negative to the court is if that person is in danger of hurting themselves or somebody else. And that's just,
then you're obligated, basically.
That's just, yes, exactly. As a citizen, that's your obligation. Other than that, we're there to help them, guide them through the system, to be as productive and replenish their soul as we can. Whatever we can do to get them back to where they need to be.
And I know we've talked about post-traumatic stress disorder being one of the background issues that may cause these people to break the law. And you were mentioning military sexual trauma. And I know from what I've read and a little bit about my experience that military sexual trauma is, in a lot of cases, the stressor that can lead to being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And of course, then follows problems with integrating with society, which may then lead to criminal behavior. So.
Exactly.
So, speak to the audience for a moment about, we know about your role, mentors. How many mentors does the Brevard Veterans Treatment Court have, and do you need any more?
We have about 16 or 17 of them right now, and yes, we need some more. We need some good quality people, because the mentors are matched up one for one. We only, each mentor only works with one veteran at a time. And some veterans are successful and move on through the court. We get new ones come in. So there is a turnover, and yes, I do need some good quality mentors that really want to work the program.
So anybody out there listening here on the Space or Treasure Coast, or folks, if you're listening in Montana or Illinois and you're interested in this program, there's a decent chance that your county, your state, honors this program to help our vets recover from some mistakes they've made and successfully reintegrate. How can somebody here on the Space and Treasure Coast get a hold of you?
They can email me at my personal email address. That's drwassmer@yahoo.com. That would be Delta Romeo Whiskey Alpha Sierra Echo Romeo @yahoo.com.
So
well done. Even after your time in the Navy, you remembered all that.
Don't ask me to do it in semaphores.
Okay.
So that's drwassmer@yahoo.com. You can get in touch with the mentor coordinator for the Brevard Treatment Court, Don Wassmer, who is our special guest here today. And again, just restate why this is such an important program.
Well, again, it's the we've sent these people out into harm's way, and they've experienced some horrific sights and explosions and whatever, and some of them have come home with their brains scrambled to some extent, and it could be a physical thing, it could be an emotional burden that they're carrying, and as a result they come back and it's very difficult for them to just flip that switch and turn it off and walk back in. Long ago it took weeks or months for people to come back from combat. Today they can come back in days, and you just don't walk out of the battlefield and walk back onto the street and forget everything that happened.
Exactly, and I like the fact that you mentioned it could be a physical disability or disorder that led to them. I mean, I know if I lost an arm or something, I'd be harboring a grudge. I'd have a chip the size of a log on my shoulder, and it's hard for me to find fault with somebody that gets involved in bad behavior and gets arrested because they've sacrificed for this country. So again, getting back to the theme, I think it's what they deserve. This is not a handout, this is a hand up, giving them another chance to recover their life and get on in a much more straightforward and orderly fashion.
Exactly.
And I think it's absolutely marvelous the job that you're doing, Don. And I know in the early stages before they actually got the court going, that was one of the stumbling blocks, was they needed somebody to be the mentor coordinator, and you stepped up to the plate to help your fellow veterans, and I think that's marvelous. Thank you so much.
We're still trying to improve it too. We're going in next month. We're going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to observe their mentor program there, and apparently they've got a very good one. So we're going to try to learn some more tricks and make it better.
Just up the
Outstanding.
road from the orange capital of the world, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Go Cowboys.
You had to get that in there, didn't you?
Had to throw it in.
Folks, again, it's Don Wassmer from the Brevard County Veterans Treatment Court. He's the mentor coordinator. If you're interested in getting involved in this very awesome program, you can email him at drwassmer, W-A-S-S-M-E-R, at yahoo.com. Check out AVET Project's Facebook page and website. You'll find the information there as well. Glenn, we got to always share this at the end.
Yeah, I want to share with you the Veterans Crisis Line. Suicide's a big problem amongst our veterans. 1-800-273-8255. Press 1 if you're a veteran or you're calling about a veteran. 1-800-273-8255. Press 1. And as always...
Hold that thought. I just wanted to thank you, Don, for your service to our country, continuing service to our vets and our community. Pardon my interruption.
Excellent. And as always, don't forget, thank a vet.